Once upon a time, there lived a silly old bear named Winnie the Pooh. Surrounded by his friends in the 100-acre woods, Pooh enjoys helping those in need, walking with his best friend Christopher Robin, and of course, eating lots of honey. What many people don't know about Pooh, or have simply forgot, is that he can do one amazing trick that not many people can do. And that little trick is make a billion-dollar empire for the Walt Disney Company for several decades and counting. Okay, seriously, out of all the franchises under the company, Winnie the Pooh is probably the most overlooked that is making Disney the giant conglomerate that it is today. Think about it. When you ponder about their most profitable franchises, only the most obvious ones get brought up, like Frozen, Star Wars, Cars, Marvel. But this guy? People normally just think of the innocence of Pooh, how he was part of many people's childhoods, how his sweet simplicity makes his lovable charm. Yet what people don't realize is the part when they threw money in the 100-acre woods and why we still see tons of his merchandise, numerous of TV shows, so many video games, several movies in which some of them got a theatrical release, his own star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's even gone to the point where there are Winnie the Pooh products that Disney doesn't want to talk about.
And that's the kind of touching that gives you a funny feeling inside. It feels wrong because other people shouldn't touch your private parts.
But Pooh, what do I do if somebody tries to touch me that way?
Now, in this age of cinema, where Disney is in the mood to go and take one of their animated classics and turn it into this big-budget live-action extravaganza, it should be no surprise that it is Pooh's turn now to get all CGI'd up into the real world. Especially if there are possibilities not only for Disney to go and make big bucks with Pooh again, but also, it might actually turn out to be a great movie. I mean, who knows? If Paddington could come out and create two of the greatest reviewed movies in recent years, then maybe Pooh might actually find the same success. So, with that said though, did things work out for the silly old bear? Well, not with a story like that, he isn't!
I might as well start things off with the biggest problem with the movie, and that is the script. This is actually one of those films that if you've seen the trailer, then you've seen the movie.
I just saw the most preposterous imposter. Look at him.
As you could tell, this really doesn't offer much. In fact, this is nothing more than your typical grown-up reconnecting with his past again plot, complete with the hero being the exact same character archetype in these stories. You know the one, the protagonist who starts off as a carefree child but then grows up to be a very busy adult who focuses more on his work more than his family. But then some special forces make him go on some adventure where now he has to get in touch with his inner kid and make him realize what's more important than his work. Sure, Ewan McGregor is doing all he can with the material he's been given, but it's just the material itself makes him feel like such a dull and cliched character. This isn't Christopher Robin. This is boring adult that needs to grow down number 49.
You can't just keep saying hello to people. People can't see you moving and talking.
But why?
Because you're different. And people don't like things that are different.
It really doesn't help either that this is technically based on a classic kids novel from England. Maybe it's more of a coincidence, but somehow those British books end up having their own story that's similar to this and would end up with varying results. Especially when it's about the main character, whom we usually know is a kid, is all grown up and the rest of the other old characters are mostly spending their time going, "Hey, remember me?" A good example of this, and one that's often regarded as a cult classic, is Steven Spielberg's Hook. You got Peter Pan, now as a busy grown-up, finds himself back in Neverland with Tinkerbell and the Lost Boys, remembers who he is, and realizes that his family is more important than his job. But since we are talking about a Disney movie, here's a better comparison. Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. Here's Alice, now 19 years old, ends up in Wonderland again, now called, wait, what was it again? It's been a while since I've seen it, underwear or something like that? Anyways, and now she has to remember her past in order to save the world and remember who she truly is. However, you might have noticed that these two films would offer more than just the recognizable child character all grown up trope. Unlike Christopher Robin, they also have some action to give audiences a little extra for their movie, and in the case of Christopher Robin, for not having that, it depends on how you view it. It can be bad for not having that extra action, for only delivering little to its audience and not having much engagement or excitement to the film. But then again, it could be good for not having that extra action because it would seem rather pointless and feel like the film would have little connection to the original novel it's based on, while blindly following current trends. In a way, Christopher Robin's simplicity can be viewed either as a blessing or a curse, depending on who you ask.
Disgrace, shame, humiliation.
Well, that's one way to play it.
The biggest criticism that can be said about this film is that the writing is so lazy that it feels like the movie is doing absolutely nothing. Nothing to be engaging, nothing to be original, and nothing to put in any sort of quality written-wise. But you know what's actually the weirdest thing about it? Is that this movie actually takes advantage of doing nothing. Now, one of the most memorable quotes from this film that it would often repeat is that doing nothing can often lead to the very best kind of something. And since this movie would do nothing, it would also actually succeed in some aspects to actually work things out as a Winnie the Pooh movie.
Sure, this film doesn't offer much, but like I said at the beginning, part of the timeless charm of Winnie the Pooh is its simplicity, making adventures out of the little things in life through a child's imagination. In that regard, it would leave a lot of room for many heartfelt moments. This is exactly what Christopher Robin was aiming for, to capture those tender memories that would share the tone of both the A.A. Milne books and the Disney adaptations. At the very least, while it delivers little as a movie, there are times that would be very touching, especially with some bonding moments with Christopher Robin and Pooh.
Oh, I'm sorry, this compartment is rather full. It's his nap time.
But I'm going to say now that if you're only watching the movie for the purpose of seeing your favorite characters again, like Pooh, Piglet, Tigger, and all those guys, then you'll be absolutely satisfied. Some could argue that Chris's friends are a group of one-dimensional characters that don't play that big of a role in the film other than Winnie the Pooh himself. But in terms of adapting decades-old Disney characters into modern live action, it debatably succeeds more than any other Disney live-action remake to date. Each one feels exactly like they came straight out of the Disney cartoons, and even given a great voiceover performance that really shines their unique personalities. Well, then again, the filmmakers did bring in the same guy who voiced both Pooh and Tigger for the last 30 years here, so it's safe to say that they know what they're doing.
I feel like Pooh and Tigger are a part of me now in the 100-acre wood, and it's a great place to be. And I think that's part of the blessing. I'm glad they sound very different. It would be harder to do Pooh and Piglet because they're kind of like, they could be vocal cousins, whereas Tigger's on the far end of the spectrum.
So I just get bouncing.
As for the CGI, they do look weird and maybe uncanny at first, but then it's easy to get used to because, well, let's be honest, how else would you take these characters and bring them to live action? However, not all of them get the same share of screen time. Half of them, like Rabbit, Owl, Kanga, and Roo, appeared for only a few scenes, while Piglet, Tigger, and Eeyore would later join Pooh in the third act to be more prominent, as they are obviously the fan favorites. Oh, also, unsurprisingly, they do have a little habit of giving out some fan service, since it knows that a good chunk of people would want to see this film for nostalgic purposes, and it wants to please them by saying, "Hey buddy, remember this from the good old days?"
Look up, Pooh. Here I come. It would appear that I am stuck.
Have you just eaten honey?
I have not just eaten honey.
It's one of those films that you would find it somewhere right down the middle. Like, you don't know exactly where to place it exactly, but you know it's somewhere in that area. Even on its own merits, it's hard to really pinpoint where you could say exactly how it is as a movie. Now, yeah, sure, this film does have some notable bad aspects about it, but it's also really hard to hate it. Even though it has some bad things as a movie, I don't really find myself hating it, especially when it doesn't necessarily mess up the animated aspects, like taking the classic elements of Winnie the Pooh and adapt it into live action. So, I don't necessarily hate this movie, or I don't find it bad as much as some of the other Disney live action remakes like Maleficent or the 2017 Beauty and the Beast film. Now, I know this film barely offers anything, but then again, that would also mean that this film barely offers anything bad.
On one hand, Christopher Robin would barely even count as a movie for having some of the laziest writing in a Disney film, with characters so cliched they become entirely dull, and an unoriginal story that's not only been often used to the point of making this easily predictable, but it would be used in plenty of other films as a part of a story, so this doesn't even give its audience an entire feature. But, on the other hand, it does succeed in delivering the heart of the Winnie the Pooh franchise. Thanks to the comeback of the beloved characters and tender moments, it helps give the movie some charm in its simplicity, making this an easygoing film made for people looking for something humble. With that said, there's no surprise that this is catered to a specific audience. Fans of Disney's Winnie the Pooh and those who had fond memories of it as a child will have this film in a special place in their hearts. But like I said, this is for people who just want a simple and calm movie. If you want something to avoid all the superhero madness or any sort of intense action or stuff that has a go big or go home attitude, then this is the movie for you. However, if you're looking for an actual movie with plenty to offer, then it's probably best to watch this as one of those films you'd stumble upon TV. There's no real rush to check this out. As for rating, it's a tough call, but I'll give it a modest 6 out of 10. It doesn't offer much, but it gets a pass for the stuff that it does offer.
At this point, I'm sure some people will come up with discussions about how this movie will be as a Disney live-action remake. Like, how is Christopher Robin compared to those movies? Now, at least on my side, even though, yes, I did give it a 6 out of 10, I would actually put this one on the better end. Yes, I know, as a movie, debatably how it is structured, it is pretty bad. But, like I said before, one of the things that it actually didn't screw up, in fact, it would debatably be one of its best components, is actually the ways that it would adapt the animated aspects, like take the elements from the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh and actually bring it into live action here. In fact, when you really do think about it, that really is the reason why many of those Disney live-action remakes are often hated by the public. And even Disney would just take them a few months after their release in theaters, and they would just throw them away into the vault so that they could be left forgotten, so that everybody can just go back admiring the animated classics. At least with Christopher Robin, they did manage to succeed in capturing both the characters and the tone of Winnie the Pooh. And overall, I guess that would be the reason why I don't necessarily hate this movie as much. But, then again, even though it actually worked things out in here, it doesn't necessarily mean that things will work out for the next live-action remakes. Get ready, people, because Christopher Robin really is the calm before the storm. Well, I mean, that is if the next ones are going to suck anyways. I mean, who knows? Maybe things will work out. I don't know. We'll see what happens. See you later, dudes! Whew! Disney live action remake done. What the fridge? What the? Oh no, did I use the wrong hat? Oh god. Oh no, 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 no. Oh god, where is the other hat? Wait a minute. You know what? This one doesn't look too bad, I would say. I mean, it fits the color schemes. I mean, it doesn't look that bad. Yeah. I think this can work out.